Joining us right now is entrepreneur and Disruptor Capital CEO, Pete Snyder. Pete, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria. Thanks for having me.
So what do you think's behind this move, and do you think this is sustainable?
I do, actually. I know some of the folks in the markets are bracing for a little bit of change, but time and time again, not only has the media gotten Donald Trump wrong, but the markets have as well. They didn't predict Brexit. They didn't predict a Trump win. And I think the rate of change on the regulatory environment out of Washington is going to be unprecedented. It's going to create a massive pro-growth movement in America that's going to be sustainable for a while.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. We keep seeing the markets have this anticipation that earnings will get better. Now, the Wall Street Journal has a piece today highlighting that even though we're seeing record highs, investors are looking to other options like bonds as they see the Trump rally slowing down a bit. Would you allocate capital differently at this point after the run-up we've seen, maybe exposure to bonds?
Sure, I'd diversify a little bit, but that said, I think the markets continually get Trump wrong, and this is going to continue for a long period of time. It really will. I know folks are always bracing for the worst, but Donald Trump seems to be ripping through Washington like a wrecking ball, and that's going to continue.
Hey, Pete,
he's not going to change his stripes.
Pete, Don Peebles, good morning. What do you think regulatory reform and tax reform will do to commercial real estate?
Well, look, I think it's going to be a much better environment for entrepreneurs like me to start businesses. And if you're going to be growing, you need space. So it's going to be good for the commercial real estate market.
And how about single-family buyers? Do you think that brings more people into the market to buy? There's a large number of Americans that are still renting after the last housing crisis, and also because of the lack of availability of financing. You think that changes? Absolutely, but it's going to lag probably a few months behind. When the country's seeing the stock rally right now. They feel good about it. They see a boost in their portfolios if they have them. But that's going to take a little bit longer for the housing market. I predict by early summer or so.
But so much, Pete, of this rally, the enthusiasm is based on tax cuts and really broad tax reform. And I point to the front page of the Wall Street Journal again this morning with the headline, "The GOP plan to overhaul the tax code gets held up at the border." And we've talked about it on this program repeatedly. We're talking about the border adjustment tax. And there's a lot of political pushback on that from particular industries. And you're going to get a lot of headlines about this is going to be a tax on Americans at Target. It's going to be a tax on Americans at the gas pump.
So that certainly may be true, but Washington is only used to a one-pronged offense, meaning one thing coming at them at once. With the Trump administration, you have a multi-pronged offense. One day it might be a border tax. The other day it may be massive tax reform. The next day it's a two-for-one regulatory reform. Washington has its head spinning right now. You read headlines about chaos. Perhaps chaos in the White House, but there's chaos in Congress and in the bureaucracies because no one can keep up with the rate of change going on right now.
Yeah, but you're getting to something important. I mean, the markets rallied from the get-go on election night on the idea that taxes are going to come down. Everybody we've spoken with since the election has said we're going to get a tax reform package within 100 days. It's not happening until the second half of the year. Should that change our behavior in terms of investing in stocks?
I don't think it should at all. It will be coming. It will be coming rapidly. It's the #1 priority of Speaker Ryan. It will happen.
Yeah, I agree with him. I think that Speaker Ryan has committed to passing tax reform by the summer recess that will take place in August.
You know what I think is going to happen? You're going to end up getting a tax cut. You're going to get a tax cut for individuals, and then the reform will come later, that they're going to have to do something because this border adjustment tax is becoming a bigger and bigger hurdle for getting a package done.
And I see why, too, because, like you said, that's why the markets were doing so well. People were excited about policies like that, and the only thing that's really been mentioned or been put into place is that increase.
A guy from the Club for Growth is quoted in the Journal saying every time somebody buys something at Walmart or Target or fills up their car with gas, they're going to get hit pretty hard with this thing. Yeah. I don't think that's what the voters signed up for in November, talking about the border adjustment tax.
And they didn't. We didn't even hear about a border adjustment tax during the campaign. Right. I mean, you're a business guy. What do you think? I mean, does a border adjustment tax make things more expensive?
Look, there's a cost. If we want American jobs to stay here, then we're going to have to support American businesses. So that comes with a consequence. There's a double edge to many of these policies the president has articulated. But I think that given the choice of paying a little bit more for their product and having more jobs and a more robust economy, Americans would choose that. I do think that we're going to see tax reform and a reduction in personal income taxes and corporate taxes before the summer recess. The rest of this, you're right, will probably go on through the rest of the year. But I think Americans are at a point where they want to support American businesses, American jobs. That'll bring us back to where we were in the 1980s when Reagan was Buy America. You know, Lee Iacocca was Buy America. I think there's this nationalist approach that obviously has been persuasive to many voters. If
we get the package and we understand what it looks like, in the first 200 days, I think the markets are fine. I mean, then we know it's coming. But if if the oxygen in the room keeps getting taken out by things like the border and Obamacare, it's just less certain.
So he just needs his Treasury Secretary. If Congress can give him his Treasury Secretary, let's get to work. That's the whole thing.
He's getting held up, Don.
Even the travel ban. What was the focus of all the news coverage last night is arguments over the telephone.
Yes.
Right? That's at least the optics. It makes people feeling like, okay, when's my tax cut coming?
Yeah, we'll see about that. Pete Snyder, good to see you, sir. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Maria.
We'll see you soon. Coming